this party started.
He's shining a light in the dark corners of our media.
You are fake news.
Our government.
Handling of classified documents.
And our culture.
Don't trust anyone.
It's common sense amidst chaos.
Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Here's your host, Ike Wingate.
Hello and welcome to the show. It is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. I hope you've had a great week as we get ready to give you the news of the day. And liberal violence has reached a fever pitch. It is not a both sides issue, despite what the liberal and mainstream media want you to think, as another ICE detention facility came under attack yesterday. We're going to get into the details on that, as well as Christians being killed in other parts of the world. It is happening. It is not pretend. It's not a far-off idea. It is right here, right now. Plus, new numbers coming out about the GDP. EscalatorGate at the UN. We told you about that on Tuesday. And it seems there's more to the story, so we'll talk about that. Plus, James Comey expecting an indictment maybe today. Any minute, we expect that to be a possibility to come down. They may wait until tomorrow, so they get the weekend for the the conversation. But that's on the horizon. Plus, these ridiculous Charlie Kirk assassination conspiracies. These things are completely detrimental and diminishing of the actual assassin. And I'm sure they're coming from the left to an extent, but largely what I've seen, they're coming from the right. And boy, do they make people look stupid. I mean, I don't know. I guess I expected when we have one shot, we have the guy who's, on the record talking about hating this guy, and his own family said the same. One shot. It's not like multiple shots and you're examining multiple bullets and all that kind of stuff. I just sort of expected people on the right to be like, okay, let's wait till the details come out. No, they're not. And it's, I think, destructive, damaging, skirting and removing culpability from the true evil assassin. Now, I'm not saying he didn't potentially act with others. I think that's very possible. So I'm not saying it's just him alone, but to say that his freaking lapel mic blew up like a pager that Israel, took out Hezbollah with, right? It was Hezbollah or was it Hamas? I don't remember. Maybe it was Hamas. But that's what you're going with? And the thing that I find ridiculous is how many people think that zoomed in cell phone video is able to capture every minuscule frame per second. It can't. It's impossible. And so you're basing all your theories on that. And then then there's this theory of, well, they handed off something. They handed off the detonator. It was detonated by one of his security people. I'm telling you, man, it's just, I think, ridiculous. It's so stupid. But anyway, we'll talk about that. Plus, other triggered liberal results of what's going on. Literally, people making fun of, mocking Erica Kirk and her speech where she forgave the assassin in front of the entire world. There was just a ripple of gasps across the world at that moment. I mean, breathtaking. They're making fun of it, mocking it. Now, the thing is that I come back to, we can't be surprised by this. I mean, think about this. It is never put more vividly into the picture. How in the world could someone call for someone's death and, be a scoffer, yelling, crucify him, crucify him? You read that in the Bible and you're going, man, what the heck was wrong with these people? Hello. We're seeing that same spirit of evil today. The really difficult thing is about that is Christ said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's the tough truth about it, because we want, as a human, to hate people that are evil. And we can hate the evil, but we can hold out hope for the sinner to be redeemed. Now, if we're really being honest, we're all those scoffers, except for the grace of God. We say, no, I would never do that. Well, I mean, if there's good in you, it isn't from you, it's from God. And so I think we have to keep that in mind. It's really tough, and it's certainly not popular on a medium like this where outrage and division and all of that sells. It sells, let me tell you. But we can hate the evil. We must call it out. We must fight against it. We must stand up against it non-violently, unless we're in self-defense. But offensively, no. But the tough thing about it is to say, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's tough. That's Christianity. That's not these other religions. And that was on display, of course, when Erica Kirk made that statement. But you see how it is possible, how a guy who's telling the truth, the uncomfortable truth, can be maligned and killed. You think of Stephen as well. You think of the Apostle Paul. People telling the truth, and it made those in power uncomfortable, upsetting, the apple cart of the normal structure of society. How dare you preach these things? Charlie Kirk was the same way. And you see these people mocking him, making up lies, taking things out of context, justifying the murder, celebrating the murder, mocking his widow. Same type of thing. I mean, that's what's not unbelievable, but just sort of shocking in the sense of, wow, we've been sort of in this malaise, I would call it, in society where, we have a ton of distractions. And in America, we have a very comfortable life. Most people do. And so it's a big distraction. We don't really think about persecution. We don't really think about the battle of good and evil. We don't really think about that because we don't have to, because every day we have to, work hard and take the kids to all these different things. And we got to watch our Netflix shows and all these things that are a distraction to us. And the contrast, though, right now is it is so clearly on display that this evil has been here the whole time. These demons have been here the whole time, and yet they've sort of been able to subtly do things, but they have overtly overplayed their hand here. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people on the left going, I can't go along with this. You're seeing people go, wow, that's what Christianity really is about. I thought it was about something else. I thought it was about judging people all the time. Now, we can't condemn people. That's God's job, but it is totally our job to judge right and wrong. You don't judge the person, but you can judge the action. You can judge the thing is right or wrong. You have to up against the morals of truth and what God has commanded us, right? So we have to be able to judge right from wrong. That's just, you're driving around in a car. You have to judge whether or not whether or not you can make it out onto the road in front of that car. We're always making judgment calls. We don't condemn people. That's God's job description, not ours. But a lot of people saying that Christianity maybe, undoubtedly, really, was not what they thought it was. And so we're seeing out of this horrible situation, incredible good come. And we I don't think should be surprised when we're seeing people react that are just totally depraved, hardened hearts, and celebrating this. It's not new. That's the crazy thing is we just, I think, have been ignoring it, or just haven't seen it so starkly displayed globally until now. So anyway, it's an incredible moment in history right now. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. Okay. Help us out in the algorithm right now. Heart this post on X and repost. If you're watching on the Died Suddenly feed, follow me as well at Ike Wingate on X. It's right there in the title of the broadcast. I'm trying to build followers. We're trying to get over that 4,000 mark. So follow us. Follow me on X at Ike Wingate. If you're watching on the Ike Wingate feed and you're not following Died Suddenly, make sure you do that as well. On Rumble, thumbs up, repost. That helps us as well. And then a thumbs up across the other platforms as well. Of course, if you enjoy this content and you want to help us, you want to support our effort to be able to bring it to you and help us cover our hard costs. I've not taken a dime from this. If you want to help us just cover our hard costs, you can become a subscriber, paid subscriber on Rumble. You can give one-time contributions via Cash App or Venmo. We have those set up for you to easily click on and contribute at IkeReport.com. Of course, you can also contribute right there in the chat on Rumble. So the first thing we want to get into here is, I wish this was not doing this. It's just one of those things. See if I can. All right. Where are we going? Here we go. Let's get into this story about ICE from yesterday. The ICE facility. As we wait for that to pop up on your screen here. There we go. Before 7 a.m. local time yesterday in Dallas, Texas, an ICE facility was under fire. One was killed, two others, maybe more, were injured, and then this person took their own life. Ongoing investigation. They found evidence, unspent shell casings engraved with the phrase anti-ICE, which seems kind of ridiculous, like anti-ICE. That's kind of a weird... I don't know. We're seeing a theme here in all these different heinous events. I mean, I think it started at the trans shooter at the Catholic Church, the school in Minnesota. Of course, happened in the Charlie Kirk assassination. And then this event as well, where they are carving words on these shell casings, anti-ICE. So, whoever the person was a bad shot. The person is a guy named Joshua Jane or John. It depends on how you pronounce it. But this is what Joshua John or Jane had on his Facebook profile. Yeah. Glorious exposition, comrade. So maybe some kind of communist. And he comes from a liberal biracial family in Fairview, Texas, according to Andy No, reporter. His mother's critical of the gun laws in her state. A lot of apparently Trump derangement syndrome on her Facebook profile as well. That in and of itself does not assign he's a leftist per se. His sister, Kyoko Jane, is a woke woman who was a supporter of Beto O'Rourke. Also, I believe, is in some kind of gay relationship or something like that. The three people that were shot ended up being migrant detainees. And of course, the left is like, how dare you? You know, I think it was Olbermann, Keith Olbermann, freaking weirdo, was calling for who was it? Chrissy Noem. He was calling for her to, you're supposed to protect these people. Well, when you have some random psycho on a building somewhere who's a horrible shot, I don't know how you're supposed to defend against that. Now so two of the people died. The attack occurred in the context of months of Democrat politicians, liberals, and leftists encouraging violent direct action against ICE. Antifa and far-left extremists have been releasing names, photos, and addresses of agents. By the way, you hear from the left, we shouldn't have a secret police. I agree, we shouldn't have a secret police. They should not have masks on. That's because you're doxing them. You're putting their addresses, their information online, and there's violence against ICE agents. What else are they supposed to do? You also have the urging of comrades to kill ICE agents. In July, members of a North Texas Antifa cell allegedly carried out a shooting ambush on an ICE facility in Alvarado. Did you hear about that? I told you about it here. If you watched this show, you knew about it. There's also a lot of weird trans connections in that group, potentially even that satanic cult, the Order of Nine Angles. I did an entire piece on that on my Substack. You can find that at ikereport.substack.com. You can read it or you can just watch the video. Either way, we covered this months ago. One officer shot in the neck at that event, narrowly survived. And the nightly violent attacks on the ICE facility in Portland by Antifa are ongoing. Here is Joshua Jane or John. I don't know which one. I don't really care. You've got his mother posting political things. And this is his sister who is with another woman. And so we don't know for sure, but the circumstances at this point are pointing to yet another leftist violent event. Now, you wonder, how does this happen? Why are people so mad at ICE? I don't know, because the Democrats are on every day talking about how, what a threat that they are. And, I mean, even Newsom was on last night on one of the late night shows. I don't know if it was Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel. We'll talk about Jimmy Kimmel coming up as well. Talking about ICE again and how evil ICE is. Here's Hakeem Jeffries doing the same.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged overreach, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified. This is not the 1930s.
Secret police who are masked, who are intimidating, who are scaring people. These Gestapo-like tactics.
This is Gestapo-like behavior.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
When you compare the old films of the Gestapo grabbing people off the streets of Poland, it does look like a Gestapo operation.
You posted on social media that, quote, ICE is acting like a terrorist force.
ICE agents, they are coming and kidnapping and disappearing people on the streets of the United States.
But this terror campaign of having masked people rolling up in vans, but we also have to talk about the agents themselves that are carrying this out. If you have any decency, quit now. Because just doing what you were told has been the justification for some of the worst horrors and crimes against humanity.
Masked agents of the state in unmarked vehicles are terrorizing communities. They are disappearing people.
One has to assume they're hiding something, or they're hiding misbehavior, because otherwise, why would they be wearing masks and denying their identities?
If everything is legitimate and proper, why are you wearing masks to hide your face?
Not look like America. We are going to require them to show their faces. If you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't have anything to hide.
That's coming from Eric Swalwell. Yeah, just a montage of liberals there. Gee, I wonder why someone would try to kill ICE agents. That doesn't make sense. Unless you watch this where the justification is all over the media. Gestapo, terrorist organization, scooping people up, they're hiding. As I stated, these people would not be wearing masks if you guys weren't trying to kill them and ruin them, dox them, put their families in danger. It's because of you. And then you have this incitement. Gestapo, terrorists. It's no wonder someone who is stupid, ignorant, dumb, I don't know, unhinged, would hear that over and over and over and over and say, I'm going to do this because, well, the left celebrates when we kill someone. Just reinforcing this bad behavior. So I'm going to do this and I'll be a hero. See how it works? Not too hard to figure out that it is a one sided thing, and it's pretty easy to see how someone would feel that they need to carry out violence against ICE. By the way, we want to see your comments in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking about what we're covering. We love your opinion on the things that are happening today. Of course, again, help us in the algorithm. Heart the post and repost us on X. Give us a thumbs up on the other platforms as well. And you talk about a pattern of ICE violence. This was a couple months ago. A major terror plot to kill ICE agents in Texas was foiled. 11 far-left radicals arrested. You didn't hear anything about that. Now, again, just a plug for this content. If you were following this show, then you knew about it because we covered it. We covered it. And this was back in April. Let's see. Okay, maybe it's not on this one. Wasn't it? I thought we covered it. I'm fairly sure. Maybe we just covered it on the show. Right? We talked about the assassins. Okay. I'd have to review that to know for sure. Let me see here. Okay. We definitely covered it on the show. Okay. Maybe it's not there in that Ike report, but still, you should subscribe. Here's one. I mean, this is case in point of the liberal media participating in this propaganda campaign. NBC News, this headline: ICE held a 5-year-old autistic girl in Massachusetts to pressure her father to surrender. They took his daughter hostage in order to get him to surrender. How terrible. Read this headline and go, that's not cool. How can that ever be justified? Using a child as bait, as leverage, blackmailing from the standpoint, or what's the other word? You know what I'm talking about. But basically, you're exploiting someone by using their kid. That is unacceptable. Wait a minute. Oopsie. Got it wrong. Criminal illegal alien target of the operation with previous arrests for domestic abuse, strangulation, and vandalizing property. Guess what Dad did? He abandoned his child in a car when the ICE agents were there. He took off, left his kid for dead, essentially. Edwards Mejia, a criminal alien, illegally here from Guatemala, ignored law enforcement emergency lights and darted inside his house and abandoned his 5-year-old daughter in the car. What does NBC say? ICE held 5-year-old autistic girl in Massachusetts to pressure father to surrender. No, you're covering for the deadbeat illegal alien abuser. And you're lying in the headline. They eventually deleted this. Did they print a retraction? Did they apologize? No. And by the way, the officers there rescued the child and called the local police to report the abandonment. Again, look how the liberals and the media, they always take the side of the bad guys and try to paint them as the oppressed. Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Maryland man, Maryland dad. We know that story. Again, they take the side of the bad actors and then try to spin them as the oppressed, just like they tried to say there in that situation. I'm telling you, when you put out lies like this and then you call and incite people to think that these different organizations or these different political figures are terrorists, are fascists, are Nazis, you can't be surprised when people take matters into their own hands. And, just 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks after Charlie Kirk is assassinated, you have Hillary Clinton out there on TV for whatever reason. Does she have a book coming out? I don't know, but she's probably trying to counteract the Kamala Harris comments, maybe, but from her book. But less than 2 weeks after Charlie Kirk's assassination, while on one side of her mouth, Hillary Clinton says we got to bring the temperature down. On the other side, she says that white Christian men are the problem.
And I'm proud of the fact that we have always been a work in progress. You know, we haven't gotten to the more perfect union, and we fought a civil war over part of it. And people have been protesting, you know, for hundreds of years that, you know, things were not as they should be given our ideals and how we should be moving toward them. So I think that's what makes us.
Why is this happening?
So special as a country. And
okay, I'm really getting annoyed with this. Freaking X, man.
Out of the fact that we have always been.
All right, so I'm just going to skip ahead.
So I think that's what makes us.
Good grief.
So special as a country. And the idea that you could turn the clock back and try.
Good grief.
Recreate a world that.
Good grief. I mean,
was dominated by, you know, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology. It's just doing such damage to the fact that we have.
That's enough of Hillary. I apologize for that clip doing that. We don't have a crew here that just pulls the files and can play them continuously. We have to sort of rely on the internet. So that is, that's one of the things about a small operation here. You know what I'm saying? So I apologize for that. But you heard what she said. White men of a certain religious persuasion and theology are the problem. You have this kind of rhetoric on and on and on while, again, before she went on, you know, before she said this, she was calling for the temperature to come down. We have to be civil, blah, 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 blah. And then she says this, demonizing people with a different point of view and blaming all our problems on white Christian men. White Christian men founded this country and created a system in which all men and women can flourish. It doesn't mean it was like that from the very beginning, but it was always the goal. Did you know that when the country was set up, when the Declaration of Independence and eventually the Constitution was developed, there were multiple people there in the founders that wanted to end slavery right then, but it was going to so damage the economy, and they would not have gotten some of the other states to go along with declaring independence if they didn't agree to handle that later. Did you know that? But, you know, a bunch of racists founded this country, blah, 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 blah. Also, did you know one of the largest slave owners in the South was black? Did you know that? No, you didn't know that. And did you know that a lot of the people selling slaves, you know, were black, right? Again, it's a horrible thing. And, you know, I understand a lot of white people owned slaves. There actually weren't that many. If you really, as far as the entire country goes, okay, it was a very small percentage. Horrible thing. Not making excuses for it. I'm just saying you can't just say, you know, white Christian man, evil, no matter what. Can't do that. The facts don't mesh with that. But to make white Christian men the enemy, please. But again, you're not taking the temperature down. You're demonizing people. Can you imagine? I mean, just let's go on TV and say, you know, these Arabian Muslims are why we have all these problems in our country. I mean, you could call that out, but I mean, I would be calling out, you know, extremists that have done things that are a threat, but blaming all of our problems on one particular group. I mean, that seems, I was just lazy intellectually. But again, the demonization of Christians is really what I'm going for here and what I want to point out. And it's happening all over the world. I mean, in Africa, There was a mass murder of Catholics by Islamists. 64 people killed at this Catholic parish. This Islamic rebel group, Allied Democratic Forces, struck the parish of St. Joseph in the village of Nyoto, North Kivu province in the dead of night. 64 people slaughtered, hacked to death, murdered. Others were shot. I mean, in this sense, they were lucky to be shot, I guess, or bludgeoned. It was brutal. They were gathering for a mourning. They were doing a mourning ceremony. In mourning, not nighttime or morning, no, but mourning as in someone died. They were unsuspecting and vulnerable when machetes, firearms, and hammers were unleashed. Some attackers then set homes ablaze. Local officials say the assault was clearly meditated. We're also getting reports of Christians being murdered in Syria as well. It is happening. And then we have our very own country founded on Christian principles and people in our country demonizing. And no less than 2 weeks after a guy who is white and was Christian who was murdered because of his beliefs. Make no mistake, this wasn't about politics. This was about his deeply held beliefs from a moral standpoint that did not mesh with the liberal ideology. It was his Christian beliefs that got him killed. And again, more assaults on Christians. Dearborn, Michigan, ran by Muslims. The mayor there refused to apologize for telling a Christian minister that he was not welcome here. Abdullah Hamoud faced calls for apology and demands to denounce terrorist organizations by name. A city council meeting in Dearborn on Tuesday, the Muslim mayor there did not apologize to a local Christian minister, Ted Barham, for prior outbursts of "you are not welcome here." Apparently, they had a clash at one of these meetings. It went viral after a heated exchange over a controversial honorary street sign naming Mayor Abdullah Hamoud. I'm sorry. I ran it together. There's a comma there. They clashed over a controversial honorary street sign naming. So they were in this clash. The mayor said, "You're not welcome here." And also he added, insult to injury, "I'm going to launch a parade once you leave town." The mayor, in a way, cursed me, as was seen around the world, and I would like to repeat what I said that day to you, Mr. Mayor. God bless you. The minister said he had no plans to file a lawsuit, urging the council to consider his larger message: bless those who curse you, love your haters. And I would say that in regard to Hezbollah as well, I would say that in regard to Mr. Sablani, and I would say that to Israel too, love your haters. So again, not welcome here. You're not welcome here, and I will throw a parade when you leave, because he disagreed with him. So it's happening, my friends. Arm yourself with the armor of God. That's what you need. GDP numbers are out, to much surprise for the Trump haters. Take a look.
Now, on the GDP side, this is our third time around the block on Q2, and we see a really solid revision, 3.8%. I'm a bit shocked, to be honest. Usually the revisions, as you get to second and third, become smaller and smaller. So 3.8% would be the best quarter going back to, and we have to go back a ways here, till 4.4, and that was the third quarter of 23. Now, it is important to point out that if you look at the first quarter final, down 0.5%, there's a balance there, but the balance is moving in favor, and momentum is moving in favor for better growth. Now,
oh my gosh, I thought the tariffs were going to, cripple us. Seems it has not happened yet. The left doesn't like that. Let me know what you think about the show, what we're talking about. If you got any opinions on what we're playing for you here in the comments. At the UN on Tuesday, President Trump spoke. The escalator stopped right as he stepped on it. His teleprompter was not working for the first 15 minutes. And also the audio in that auditorium was off. And the only way people were hearing his speech whether they could hear Trump actually talk or they were listening to one of the translations in their earpieces. And you go, how is that possible? How could that be a coincidence? Well, did you know this? The Times reported on Sunday to mark Trump's arrival, UN staff members have joked that they may turn off the escalators and elevators and simply tell Trump that they ran out of money, so he has to walk up the stairs. Gee, I don't think this is a coincidence, and now the Secret Service is involved, and there's an investigation going on. I mean, what will these people not do? I mean, honestly, it could have been bad. Melania was in front of President Trump. She could have, I mean, the escalator stairs, they're kind of scary. Like metal spikes, basically, if you hit them at the wrong angle. I mean, it could have been really bad. Could have been really bad. Thankfully, it wasn't. But this is unacceptable, completely ridiculous. This is like children. Speaking of children, at the UN, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Gardner's daughter spoke there. I don't know why she has any relevance. I don't know, because of her parents, maybe. Demanding that the UN reinstate mask mandates. This is what their daughter is advocating for. Filtered air as a basic human right, like clean water. Seriously. They must be so proud. Take a look.
Both the prevalence of airborne transmission and the threat of long COVID manifested in a series of choices. Young people lacked real choice in the matter and information about what was being chosen for us. Here's what we know about SARS-CoV-2. It is airborne, floating and lingering in the air. One infection can result in disabling damage to almost every cell in the body, from the brain and heart to the nerves and blood vessels. Every subsequent infection increases the risk of long COVID and places people who already have it in greater danger.
I can't take any more of that. How ridiculous is this? She's advocating for masks. It's a human right to have a mask. I mean, here we are. She's wearing a mask. Why? These people are afraid. They're also indoctrinated and they're nuts. And why is it that in Hollywood, your kids are so much higher, have such a higher likelihood of becoming trans? Isn't that weird? Apparently, this is actually a dude. I don't know if this is the trans kid or not. I don't know. But apparently Jennifer Garner does have a trans kid. So does Cynthia Nixon. So does the son of Robert De Niro's trans. The son of Gabrielle Union is trans. The son of Naomi White's, you guessed it, trans. Daughter of Marlon Wayans, trans. Son of Charlize Theron, trans. Daughter of Cher, do you believe, trans. The son of Jamie Lee Curtis, trans. Daughter of Rosie O'Donnell, non-binary. Daughter of Jennifer Lopez, non-binary. Must be something in the water. Must be, the air in Hollywood is not clean enough. They're not wearing enough masks. No, it is indoctrination. It's sick. It's disgusting that they would allow the abuse of children like this to happen. That's what it is. It's child abuse. It's what it is. Star has joined the chat. Good morning, Star. Also, I see a $10 contribution on the board from Star, our first and only contribution of the day, $10 on the board. Thank you so much, Star. Be like Star. Help us out. If you want to support us bringing you this content, want to help us cover our costs, Cash App or Venmo is available at IkeReport.com. Send us 10, 20, 30, 50 bucks, whatever. Help us cover our costs. We have a few $100s left to raise for this month just to cover our costs. This is not for me. I don't take a dime. This is a public service to you to get the truth out there. Mostly Penny in the chat says the mainstream news is complaining about the investigation, but an escalator stopping would have killed a lot of presidents. It would have potentially killed Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Can you imagine if that stopped on Joe Biden? We would have been having a state funeral within a couple of days. Not Michelle in the chat says, I love getting into the theology of this. You have to judge people so you are not surrounded by snakes. You cannot condemn them to hell, though. Yeah, it's a big difference between judging and condemning. Breeze in the chat as well says, hello, Fortress of Truth. All right, I want to say thank you to Bree and to Brian. They have reposted this stream. Please be like them. Heart the post on X and repost. Follow me on X at Ike Wingate. If you're watching on the Died Suddenly feed, follow me on X at Ike Wingate. And then, of course, on Rumble, give us a thumbs up and repost as well. And then smash that thumbs up or like button on all the other platforms. Yeah, you like that? That's what the kids say. Smash the like. No, they probably don't anymore. I'm sure they don't. Okay. Florida Congressman Greg Steube says that disgraced former FBI Director James Comey should be charged with treason. Here's what he had to say earlier today with Maria Bartiromo.
Well, it's about time. Americans have waited for this for a long time. We saw the Russia collusion hoax, the complete compromise of the deep state. That was all under Comey's leadership. I believe because of all of those things that we now know, they use the intelligence apparatus of our federal government to perpetrate a fraud upon the American people, that the Trump campaign was colluding and conspiring with Russia. In my opinion, he should be charged with treason. But obviously the DOJ doesn't want to go that far. They found something that they can charge him with. He obviously lied to Congress because he knew either he's lying or McCabe is lying. And obviously they have evidence from either communications or something that it's a basis of this grand jury indictment. It is a long time coming where the American people want to see justice of all of the brokenness of our federal government over the last decade.
So what would this mean?
So Steube is calling for treason for Comey. Allegedly, we're going to see an indictment come down today, maybe as soon as today, maybe tomorrow, related to James Comey. So that'll be very interesting when that happens. Now, Jimmy Kimmel, switching to Jimmy Kimmel now, he was back on Tuesday night. And the left's like, yeah, the ratings, they're huge. I mean, you knew the ratings were going to be big because, by the way, where has the left been? They haven't been watching Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, now that he has a feud with Trump, then you'll watch him? Give me a freaking break. His YouTube views are up. No kidding. A lot of people on the right are watching it to see, did this guy have a mea culpa? Did he come to his senses and have any level of contrition? I don't think he did. He never actually apologized, and he cried. He cried. This guy cries a lot. Look, man, if you're talking about your kids or, you're really sad or you're moved emotionally or, gratitude is one of the things that gets me emotional sometimes. I'll admit it. But literally, you were making a joke about this guy, and then when you talk about him next, you break down at that moment because now you're moved about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. You weren't moved last week when you were freaking lying about it and making a joke saying that MAGA was responsible. It's weird. It's weird how you became emotional after you were taken off the air. Take a look.
A lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human. And that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
This is why I call BS on this. A murder of a young man. You were talking about that young man and you couldn't give two craps about it when you were making a joke and lying about it last week. But now just saying the murder of a young man causes you to break down. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
I don't think there's anything funny about it. I posted a message on Instagram on the day he was killed, sending love to his family and asking for compassion, and I meant it, and I still do. Nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what it was obviously a deeply disturbed individual.
But you did. You absolutely blamed MAGA. There's no question about it.
That was really the opposite of the point I was trying to make. But
give me a freaking break. How stupid do you think we are? I mean, this is what the left does. Ignore your eyes, ignore your ears. Don't pay attention to that. Just listen to us. Don't trust what is actually happening. Get your truth from us. This is an insult. People should be outraged about this, I think.
I understand that to some that felt either ill-timed or unclear, or maybe both. And for those who think I did point a finger, I get why you're upset.
Yeah, because you did.
The situation was reversed, there's a good chance I'd have felt the same way. I have many friends and family members on the other side who I love and remain close to, even though we don't agree on politics at all. I don't think the murderer who shot Charlie Kirk represents anyone. This was a sick person.
Okay, yeah, well, his own mother said he had gone more and more left.
Who believed violence was a solution, and it isn't. It ever. And also selfishly, I am a person who gets a lot of threats. I get many ugly and scary threats against my life, my wife, my kids, my coworkers, because of what I choose to say.
Yeah, let's make it about you.
And I know those threats don't come from the kind of people on the right who I know and love. So that's what I wanted to say on that subject. But I don't want to make this about me.
Well, you did. And you never actually said, I'm sorry. It's just like, well, I can see how people might, see it like that, but that's not what I intended. Kiss my butt, Jimmy Kimmel. Dave Portnoy has this, and I agree with it. Here's my last point on Kimmel. If Kimmel came on and apologized like this the day after his remarks, he probably wouldn't have even been suspended in the first place. But by all accounts, he wanted to double down again for the billionth time. This isn't about free speech. I mean, literally, he would have been on that day, but he was unwilling to relent and was going to double down on it. Now he's coming out all weepy-eyed and be like, I can't believe it. I'm not sorry, but I can't believe I would never make a joke about a guy getting killed. Shut up. Anyway, for the billionth time, this was not a free speech issue. He works for Mickey Mouse on network TV. Nobody said he was going to jail. No one was trying to put him in jail for what he was saying, okay? He was dealing with the consequences of making off-color jokes about a murder of a guy who meant a ton to a ton of people and blamed it on the very people who love him the most before the body was even cold. So yeah, there was outrage that Mickey had to deal with. Mickey Mouse had to deal with it. Then the pendulum swung the other way and they put him back on the air. Either way, it was never a free speech issue. When you work for somebody else and you offend a ton of people, you deal with the consequences. Him framing this as free speech is a joke. Yeah, he's using it. Oh, I mean, this could be one of the best things ever for Jimmy Kimmel's ratings is that Donald Trump called him out. I mean, Donald Trump just, he's a kingmaker. He makes winners and losers every day. But because he called him out, because he was taken off the air, now you got the left just watching him out of spite. We know the left will do whatever the opposite of Trump says. Whatever the opposite of what Trump says is what the left will do, which is why you have pregnant people shooting videos of themselves taking a ton of Tylenol. I mean, there's one woman I think just died or is in the hospital allegedly because of it. I mean, this is how deranged they are. So of course they're going to watch Jimmy Kimmel. They never were before. But this was never a free speech issue. If Donald Trump called Bob Iger at ABC and said, Bob, if you don't take him off, we're going to fine you. We're going to shut you down. We're going to shut you down like dogs. It won't even be a question, Bob. Don't mess with me. Like if that happened, then I would say, okay, yeah. This is government threat. They had to take him off. That's not freedom. That never happened. Never happened. You had the FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr coming out saying this is not acceptable. You have a different license for broadcasting than cable news. As a publicly available broadcast network, you have to be able you have to operate in the public interest. Telling lies about an assassination and offending a ton of people is not in the public interest. Yeah, you can have free speech, but when you do those two things together insensitively, you're going to expect consequences. But look, if he would have gone on the air the next night and apologized, this never would have been a story, but he wanted to make it a story. And he was not willing to go on the air and apologize. Now, you still have the Sinclair and I believe the Next Star stations that are saying, yeah, that's not good enough. You got to make a donation to TPUSA. You got to apologize to his widow and his family. And you got to apologize on the air. And then we'll put you back on. Bree says, Kimmel is so fake. All right, so let's look at how some Democrats versus Republican polling is going. Which party has a better plan? Reuters and Ipsos polled over 1,000 U.S. adults on September 19th, 20th, and 21st. Who has a better plan on crime? People say Republicans have the better plan, 40% to 20%. Immigration, Republicans by 40%. Foreign conflicts, Republicans have the better plan, 35 to 23. U.S. economy, Republicans, 34 to 24. Gun control, the Republicans still have a better plan on gun control. That's what people say. I mean, these aren't Republicans or Democrats per se that are being polled here. These are just adults. So people polled, over 1,000 people say Republicans have a better plan on gun control, which is pretty funny. Political extremism, Republicans have a better plan. Respect for democracy, this is kind of interesting. Democrats won that one, 31 to 29. That's kind of interesting. Who has a better plan on dealing with corruption? Republicans, 27 to 21. Healthcare, Democrats won this one, 34 to 25. Women's rights, Democrats won this one, 38 to 25. And the environment, Democrats won 37 to 23. Okay, so do you think women's rights, environment, and healthcare are big enough issues to sway this next election? No, I would say crime, immigration, foreign conflicts, the economy are the top issues. And Republicans have the better plan according to just general adults on those subjects. Now, what's interesting is in New Jersey, typically liberal, but there is a dead heat that's broken out in the race for governor. Mike Sherrill up against Jack Ciattarelli. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Jack Ciattarelli. They are neck and neck at 43%. This would be pretty incredible to see an actual legit Republican, not Chris Christie, become governor of New Jersey. Now let's talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk. I don't know if you knew this. Charlie Kirk was a big Chicago Cubs fan. Okay, and one of the Cubs players, what was his name? Matt Shaw. Matt Shaw was not at the game the other night on Sunday because he went to the memorial. He was friends with Charlie Kirk. He said Charlie Kirk texted him after every win, congratulating him. Okay, the crazy thing is New York Mets broadcaster Gary Cohen went on the air and said, well, Matt Shaw not at the game the other night because he went to Charlie Kirk's funeral. Regardless of the politics of it, to miss a game to go to an event that's not required like that is just weird. It's just weird. So he insulted him for going to his friend's funeral. What's interesting is this same guy, Gary Cohen, missed a game because his dog died earlier this year. So it's okay to miss a game when your dog dies, but not one of your good friends. When the widow of the friend asks you if you can attend, invites you to attend. Doesn't make any sense. Now you got a lot of people boycotting this guy saying, hey, we're not going to go to a game until this dude apologizes for insulting a man for going to his friend's funeral. Yeah. I'm sure if it was like, somebody on the left's funeral, this guy would have had no problem with it. Just insane how freaking terrible people are. It's just like, how can you be that dumb? All right, this is wild. By the way, you've got some different people filling in for Charlie Kirk at TPUSA events that have been already scheduled on campuses. And Megyn Kelly did this last night. She filled in for Charlie Kirk. I was just thinking, like, what are you doing? Are you worried about your safety? I watched her. I mean, she wasn't behind bulletproof glass that I noticed. She was just up on stage handling the crazies. But she went on her show yesterday, Megyn Kelly, I believe this was yesterday, and here's what she said. She says the night before, this is from Erica Kirk, that the night before Charlie Kirk was murdered, Erica Kirk called a friend to come over to their house to pray for Charlie. After a feminist website, Jezebel, paid witches on Etsy to curse Charlie Kirk. We didn't hear this before. We heard he had dinner with a friend and they prayed over this, this tour that was launching the next day. Jezebel bragged just 2 days before Charlie was assassinated about how they paid for multiple curses to punish him. One of them was reportedly paid for on August 23rd, and the witch promised that the results would be noticed in 2 to 3 weeks. Charlie was killed 2.5 weeks later. Erica and Charlie Kirk heard about these curses, and that news genuinely rattled Erica in particular, so much so that she and Charlie contacted a friend, asked him to come over and pray with them over Charlie the night before he was murdered. That is chilling.
All of this hit. It was published on Monday, September 8th. It makes clear that the writer contracted for the curse in late August. She says she wanted it to line up with the new moon in Virgo, which this year meant August 23rd. That tracks because she points out in the piece that by August 24th, she was waiting impatiently for results. The witch, they reveal, promised on August 23rd that, quote, you will see the first results within 2 to 3 weeks. This was 18 days before Charlie was killed. Not satisfied with this curse, the amped up one alone, Jezebel reached out to a, quote, third witch, Priestess Lilin. Jezebel opined, if enough people cursed a single person, would the results be stronger? Quote, when I asked her if she'd noticed more political figures being targeted these days, she said yes. The next day, Lilin sent the Jezebel writer proof of the hex she had cast, quote, a photograph in flames, the edges slowly curling inward, engulfing Charlie's ridiculous, scrunched up little face. She whispered, I imagine, writes the Jezebel reporter, trust the unseen. Chills, writes Jezebel. Sunday, August 24th passed, writes the author, and nothing. Monday, August 25th, still nothing. Tuesday, August 26th, nothing. But then she writes, she reminded herself, this is witchcraft, not Amazon. The forces operate on their own schedule. The Jezebel writer ends the piece as follows. So, did my Etsy curses work? Time will tell. The forces move in mysterious ways. And as the priestess Lilin reminded me, spell work is a collaboration between the caster, the client, and the universe itself. For now, we can only trust in the timing of the great unknown. To you, Mr. Kirk, may the rash come swiftly. 2.5 weeks after those curses were requested and cast, 2 days after Jezebel published that article, Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet.
That's wild. Just wild and weird and crazy. Speaking of wild and weird and crazy, okay? By the way, if you want to watch that clip, go find it on Megyn Kelly's X feed. Okay, so you've got so many people on the right that are peddling, I would call it these ridiculous, oh my gosh, I just so stupid conspiracies. You got a guy out there saying conclusively, we have 100% proof. I would like to slap him across the face. Say, get a hold of yourself, man. I'm not condoning violence, but saying maybe throw a bucket of cold water on him, maybe, and say, what is wrong with you? You cannot say that. You do not know that. You got Stu Peters out there, a guy on the right as well, saying, there's a handoff of some device. I mean, this is freaking so ridiculous. And I'm telling you, you even have other people saying, oh, this was a setup by the FBI. These are text messages that were faked by the FBI between the lovers. It's being investigated that was done to give the roommate, the lover, the furry guy, cover. So again, you don't know everything, but saying things like the FBI is covering this up and it was Israel. And I mean, it's just freaking ridiculous. Is it possible? Anything's possible. But based on the details you have access to, that is utterly absurd. Absurd. It's stupid. I'm trying to not use other words I want to say, but it's just ridiculous. Look at this. Did you see it? Let's watch again. Grabs something, puts it in his pocket. Oh my gosh, that's proof. There's a conspiracy. You dummy. How about Charlie Kirk's, I don't know, cell phone had dropped out? Or maybe his mic pack came off and this guy just grabbed it and stuck it in his pocket? It could be a number of things. Let's slow it down. Watch closely. Guy in the brown appears to give him the remote detonator. Oh, this is a detonator now? This is what they're saying. Somebody detonated the lavalier mic on Charlie Kirk's shirt like they did to those pagers for Hezbollah. That's what they're saying. That's the theory they're going with. That's what they're going with. And they handed it off. It was a detonator. They got rid of it. Wait, why would you need to do that? Why would you need to hand off a detonator to this guy? Why would you just keep it? He jumped the table, grabbed something. Both men grab something and run. How about car keys, you dumb freaking idiots? Oh, it's a detonator. I mean, this is so irresponsible. It makes me mad. Watch carefully what this guy does. He didn't react as quickly as the other people. A little bit of a delayed reaction. And then he gets down on the ground in case there's more shots coming. Nobody knows that. If you were in on it, you wouldn't have done that. He grabbed something and put it in his pocket, too. Oh, my gosh. This is so stupid. It's an insult to the death of Charlie Kirk, in my opinion. It's so dumb, and it makes people on the right look so stupid, and it's diminishing the culpability of the guy who actually did it. Because you have his security team who jumps in action and goes and gets the SUV ready, and they drive off to the hospital. I've seen criticism of why did these guys walk by multiple first aid kits. Okay, I mean, hindsight being 2020, you pick up one of those first aid kits and you bring it with you, but they evacuated Charlie Kirk the same way you would evacuate someone who is important in an assassination situation, just like you would the president. You get them out of there, you extract them immediately. That's what they did. That's exactly what they should have done. And by the way, as we talked about earlier in the week, because it's like, there's no exit wound. How could this happen? The guy shot from an angle down. According to the surgeon, it entered his body through the neck, went down several vertebrae on his spine, shattered his spine, and then ricocheted back up into fragments that went and just totally destroyed his internal organs instantly. And you go, well, I didn't think about that. Yeah, no kidding, because you don't know what you're talking about. But what I'm saying is, it wouldn't have mattered if he got shot like that in the operating room. It was absolutely total destruction of his body instantaneously. And so from the standpoint of having some comfort in the fact that the guy didn't suffer, at least you have that. But saying it's because of this microphone that detonated, I mean, he had a mic pack on him. He probably had a cell phone. He was holding them. I mean, there's all kinds of things that happen. These people jumped into action very quickly. By the way, if you're ready for it and you're waiting for it and you know it's going to happen, it's really easy to jump into action right away. It's another thing to actually be a human and hear this. And of course, they're trained for this and then react as quickly as they did. It's not easy to do unless you're trained. But you can criticize them. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? They freaking took him, got him out of there as soon as possible, and drove him to the hospital. That's what they did. And there were car keys potentially exchanged. There was his cell phone, mic pack. Who knows? But to use this as freaking clickbait for your stupid channels is irresponsible. Utterly ridiculous. That's all you're doing. All you're trying to do is getting clicks and stirring misinformation up. That's all you're doing. If there were multiple shots and we had other factors like, oh, this person, wait a minute, something's not making sense. It makes sense. That's the thing. And all you're doing is diminishing the monster, the culpability of the monster who did this. And you're doing it for clicks. It's not like you're showing us something that's definitive. If you do, then I'll say, you know what? That is a great question. Everything that they're putting out there is absolute garbage. It's garbage because it's based on mile-high speculation. I just think it's just disgusting, especially that it's coming from people that are on the so-called right. It's just disgusting when you see someone exploit this heinous crime for clicks. I find it reprehensible for them to do this kind of stuff. It's irresponsible and it's a freaking joke. I will never do that to the people that watch this show. I'll be straight up honest with you to the best of my ability. I will not mislead. I will not do things for drama and clicks. That is not genuine. It's not honest, and it's an insult. All right, I digress. Legislation is being filed in the U.S. House to place Charlie Kirk on $400,000 silver dollar coins in 2026. On them, they would have the words, "Well done, good and faithful servant," on one side and Charlie's face on the other. They would be considered legal tender and have his full name, Charles James Kirk. That's per Fox. It's being filed by Representative Abraham Hamada and August Pfluger. Then, of course, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and President Trump would choose the coin's final design. $400,000 silver coin, allegedly. We will see if that happens. David Sling in the chat says that Megyn Kelly kicked butt last night. And, of course, that would be intimidating. Big shoes to fill, no doubt about it. If you like the program, you want to help us cover our costs, consider a contribution right now, $5, $10, $20 via Cash App or Venmo at IkeReport.com or in the chat on Rumble. Did we get any contributions the other day? I don't know if we did. I think we've only had $10 contributed this week. So if you want to help us cover our costs, we could use your help. Of course, if you don't want to contribute, that's fine, but make sure you're following me on X. At least that's the least you can do if you enjoy this content is follow me on X at Ike Wingate, heart this post, and repost this broadcast as well. Thank you in advance. All right, Politico is reporting that the White House has instructed federal agencies to prepare mass firing plans in the event of a government shutdown. That's the big battle that you're going to be hearing about over the next few days, is the impending, looming government shutdown. Democrats want that funding restored to things like USAID, illegal immigrant medical care, and the like. And, of course, Republicans are saying, no way. You know how hard it was to get that funding out? There's no way we're going to do that. You are crazy, my friends. You are crazy. All right, we're going to get today's Triggered Liberal going for you right after this.
With everything going on in the world today, it's no wonder that tens of thousands of preppers are turning to precious metals like gold and silver to help protect their savings. Many truth seekers are turning to the top-rated precious metals company, Goldco, to learn more about how gold and silver can help protect their financial future. Goldco has placed over $3 billion in gold and silver. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, and they have over 7,300 five-star customer reviews. Right now, Goldco is offering a free 2025 gold and silver kit that will show you how to prepare for today's financial challenges and how precious metals could help you protect and diversify your savings. They're also offering up to a 10% instant match in bonus silver for qualified orders, but only while supplies last. So don't wait until it's too late. Visit stolenliberties.com. That's stolenliberties.com.
All right.
It's time for today's Triggered Liberal.
All right, got a couple for you. Some of these pregnant women, after President Trump said Tylenol was linked to autism when taken by pregnant women, of course, the left went crazy, and you had women just literally shooting videos of themselves downing these pills. Which is freaking nuts, right? In and of itself. Totally nuts. Hold on a sec here. But then you also had the mocking. Okay, this is unrelated to the Tylenol thing, just a double dose of Trigger Liberal. Mocking Erica Kirk's assassination. Erica Kirk's memorial over the assassination of her husband. Take a look.
Father, forgive them. So now the thing is to mock how she's grieving and question everything about how her behavior is. For they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him. So we don't like how she's not allowed to grieve, how she needs to grieve. She can't show forgiveness.
All right. So that is the disgusting side of things when it comes to the liberals. They are triggered, they are unhinged, and they are flat out disconnected from reality, empathy, humanity, all of it.
It's time for today's Triggered Liberal.
If you join the show late, go back to the beginning of the show and I frame how we are supposed to deal with these people. Okay? A healthy way to deal with it. We call it out. We know about it. We don't hide from it. But we've got to frame it in the proper way for sure. Okay? All right. Before we close out, we have this wall of presidents. Did you see this? The Presidential Walk of Fame has now been installed outside of the West Wing. And you take a look at all these presidents over the years. And of course, you pan over, you got Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations. You have George W. Obama. It's not true. Donald Trump. Bigly. And then you have Otto Pen Biden. That is a picture of the Otto Pen for the 46th president. How about that? An incredible troll moment. Hilarious and awesome, I think. And of course, the liberal media just can't seem to handle it. You know what I'm saying? They just can't seem to handle it. Cash App or Venmo, IkeReport.com, or in the chat on Rumble if you'd like to contribute to the show today to help us cover our costs. Remember to follow me at Ike Wingate on X. Please, right now, if you don't contribute, that's fine. But you can really help me out by following me on X. We're trying to get over 4,000 followers here, and you can repost this stream to help us with that and heart the post as well. David Sling says, talk about the master troller in chief. And that's what it is. I mean, these people are just beside themselves. How could he do this? This is just so beneath the presidency. You know what's beneath the presidency? Pardoning 8,000 people or something like that because of an auto pen. That's what's beneath the presidency. That's what's beneath the presidency. And I tell you what, I'm going to give you something real quick. You got a lot of people out there posting lies about Charlie Kirk, especially about the black pilots and the DEI and all. The context was because of DEI, you don't ever know if anyone's truly qualified. I mean, it's really a great disservice to minorities because it casts doubt on their abilities if they are hired for competency and merit. It's really more damaging to minorities. But when you talk about DEI, and of course, Charlie Kirk was talking about it in the sense of, I'd rather have a white pilot because at least I know white pilots don't get hired just because of how they look, but because they're competent because of DEI. I mean, that's just reality. That's not racism. But let me tell you, if somebody has a problem with DEI, here's what I want you to ask them. Okay, if they have a problem with DEI going away, so if they're pro DEI, what I want you to ask them is, then are you okay with a white man quota for NBA teams? Because that's not fair, right? Where's the quota for white men on NBA teams, right? No, they won't be okay with that. Oh no, they can't dunk. White man can't jump. Okay, then you understand why you need to hire somebody to be the best and to win based on merit, whatever color someone is. Congratulations to Dan Scavino getting engaged on the grounds of the White House. All right. Looks like she said yes. Dan Scavino, what a guy. A guy that Donald Trump hired after he caddied for him years and years ago. This guy is a true American success story, and Donald J. Trump is the one who took a chance on him. Now he's getting married. Hopefully he has more kids than he can afford, raises them up right, and enjoys life in America together. How about that? So congratulations to Dan Scavino. And of course, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And Lord willing, I'll be back with you Tuesday morning. I'll be on Newsmax as well Tuesday morning. And if not, before then, I'll let you know over on our locals group, IkeNation.locals.com. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you. Remember, it's not time to back down. It's time to double down because freedom and truth are worth it. Have a great day.
Rate, subscribe, and leave a review. It's how we get the word out amidst the chaos. Thanks for listening to the Ike Wingate Show.